Welcome back. In this video, we are going to understand React optimization. React, like how to optimize a React application, because in a lot of cases, you will be able to build something out, any functionality, any website, utilizing React. But again, you feel that your website, when you put it live, you will see that it is slow. It does not work as expected. Like, for example, when it comes to optimization, you'll notice that your website is missing something. Okay, for example, other developers' websites are really fast. They are really smooth when they are loaded, but your website, this part is loading, this part is not. So again, we are going to learn about React optimization. Okay, and in order for us to learn about that, I want to first of all, I always provide you with some code, because we want to avoid any code that is not related with hooks and so on. So I want you to jump over to this URL, to this hook, or sorry, this URL right here, and I want you to go ahead and download. Okay, click on the branch right here, click on this branch right here, start use callback. Okay, this is the branch that you want to use, start use callback. Okay, you can download it or go ahead, do whatever you want with it. Okay, for example, you can clone it or download it. At the end of the day, you will open it in your VS Code like so. Okay, and by the way, we are gonna learn about some React optimization stuff utilizing use memo or React memo, as well as use callback. Okay, with that being said, let's get started. So first of all, once you have this code open on your VS Code, I will go through it very quick. So we have in our source folder, we have our app.js that has some code inside. Okay, we are gonna go ahead and understand that. First of all, we are creating two pieces of state. One is to keep track of our user, whether they are logged in or not. Okay, and we have a piece of state to hold our user information. In this case, it's just an empty object. We have update user, which is a function that will go ahead and update our user state with whatever object that we are going to pass right here. We have the logout function, which is basically will go ahead and set our logged in to be false. And we have this function called update component. It is just to notify any component with the new updated user. Okay, it's empty, of course. And here we are returning three components. The first one is update user, that will take this update user function as a prop. Okay, if we open our update user, we can see it's a React component that doesn't do anything. It just has this update user prop, and it will go ahead and fire it up once we click on this button, and we can see we have given it an object. That's basically it. Another component is the logout component that take two parameters, is logged in and the logout function. And if we take a look on it, it's empty, but we have just button that will fire the logout function. And the last one is the header function that take update components. And if we take a look on it, it's empty, it doesn't do anything. Even it's not fire the update components. And here I have added several console.log on each component, so we can see that this component got rendered. Okay, that's basically it, and you can ignore the rest of the files. If we open it up here in our console, I'm going to give it a refresh. We can see we have update user, logout, and the header, these console.logs. That means all these components were rendered in the initial render. Okay, that makes sense. Now if we take a look, now what I want to do here in our when I make a refresh for any component, okay, for example, let's go for this app component right here. When it's gonna re-render, okay, all the component, all the children component will get re-render as well. Okay, and that's somehow it's a problem. Okay, because not all the components should be re-rendered. For example, if the header component does not change, why I would re-render it? Make sense? So for example, if all the actions that the user take is related to the logout or to the update information, update user information component. Why do I need to render this component? Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Cool. So here we need to work about some optimization stuff. We need to, for example, when the user click on update info, so for example, if I click on update here, let me clear the console. If I click on update user right here, we can see all the three components are re-rendered. Okay, but if you take a look, the action were only happened in update user component. Why do I need to re-render the header? Make sense? So let's go ahead and understand that. So what I will do, first of all, I will go to the header. Okay, and here we can surround the header component with something called react.memo. And basically what that will does, it's gonna go ahead and prevent this component from getting re-rendered if the props did not change. Okay, so if the props of this component did not change, then this will prevent this component from getting re-rendered, and it will save us some memory, some optimization stuff. So again, I'm going to give it a refresh. We can see all these components got re-rendered. If I click on the update user, we can see also all these components got re-rendered. Now, why the header? We didn't change the props right here. So why this didn't work? Let's go ahead and understand something. Here, when our application, when our app component got re-rendered, when we have clicked, for example, on this update user function, it will go ahead and update the piece of state inside our app, and this will trigger a re-render on our app component. When this app component got re-rendered, then all the children component will got re-rendered, and this update components function will it will be a new function created on each render. Okay, so all these functions right here, when we are passing them as a props and our parent component got re-rendered, then a new instance will be created, will be generated automatically on the re-render. And this is the problem. So our header component got re-rendered because it received a new function, a new instance of this function, even if the content of this function is the same. We didn't add any code right here, but a new instance was created on each render. So that's why our code right here, react.memo, did not work. Okay, because whenever our component got re-rendered, a new instance will be received. So now we will tell our update components right here, I want you only to, for example, I want you only to, let's say, to be created. Okay, so we want to prevent the creation of this function because this will be responsible for re-rendering our header. So what I will do, I will tell the update components function, hey, I don't want you to be created until the user has been updated. So then I will notify all the other components that, hey, I got a new user, you can go ahead and do that. But when I log in or when I log out, I don't need to call the header. Okay, so let's go ahead and use the callback function for that, or use the callback hook. The way it works, first of all, you have to import it on the top, and if you are using my code, then it's already been imported. So here I want you to surround our function, because the way that the use callback works like this. So I'm going to give it a try right here. So use callback, use callback like this. And the way it works, it first of all take a function, okay, like so. And second, the second parameter, depend area, like an array of dependencies. When do we want to call this function? It is very, very similar like to the use effect, but it has some changes. Okay, so let me go ahead and use it right here. So again, we want to update our function. We want to call, or we want to create a new instance of this function whenever our, let's say, our user has been updated, so we can notify our header. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So what I will say use callback. Okay, I will surround my function, which is this one right here. I will surround it. Okay, and the second parameter should be an array of dependency. When do I want to create a new instance of this function? Well, basically when our user will be updated. That should be it. Now, when I log out or when I log in, whenever I change this piece of state, I don't need to create a new instance of our header component or re-render it. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and understand that. So again, if I refresh it on the initial, here we have on the initial, let's say on the initial render, you can see all these components got rendered. Okay, and if I update my user, we should be able to see all of them. That makes sense. If I click on log out, we should know we don't need to see the header. Okay, because the action that we took was in the logout. Okay, so the header and only the header should not be responsible for getting any re-render from this part right here. So let's click on it. Okay, we can see that right here because we can see all the components got rendered, and probably we have something wrong right here. So let me just go ahead and check our code. Oh, we didn't save our component right here, so I'm just gonna give it a save. Going back right here, if we click on update user, we see all these components. If I click on log out, we can see again only these two components got rendered. And to prove that, again, I'm gonna click on log out. First of all, we have to give it a refresh. I'm gonna clear my console, click on log out. You can see only these two components got rendered. And if I click on update, we can see all these three components got rendered. So our code is working as expected. Okay, so again, this is all about optimization. If I click on update user, we see all of these three components. And if I click on log out, we can see only these two components got rendered without the header. So that makes sense. So that is really about optimization. Again, the idea of use callback is really common. Okay, there's like a lot of situations where you have things like that. For example, and this has to do with React. Whenever any piece of state got changed, like something will happen. All the components will get re-rendered, and this is a problem that we need to fix. This is really related to optimization. So I hope you guys understood the use callback. It's really about preventing like a new instance from a function to be created on each render. Okay, that makes sense. So hopefully I have explained this and this will help you. Thank you, my friends, so much for watching, and I will see you in another one.